What's happening, guys? And welcome back to the channel. And once again, the idea of a FIFA World Cup every 2 years is back in the headlines. FIFA are set to release more information on Thursday regarding the proposal for a World Cup every 2 years. There's going to be a conference in Qatar with a host of ex-footballers and some of the top managers in the game being invited out to hear Arsene Wenger speak about these plans. Obviously, as FIFA's head of global football development, the man known as the Professor, Arsene Wenger, is a driving force behind this. But George, this idea seems more like it's come from the nutty professor rather than someone who is so intelligent and has spent so long in the game. What is your initial reaction to, obviously, this being back in the headlines again, and how viable do you see it as an option?
Firstly, I'm not surprised that it's come back into the headlines. I think it's one of those things that is always going to come back, because I just think it's laughable, some of these things. I just don't know why these organisations have such a drive to promote nonsense. I understand kind of in their, if you want to call it a manifesto, that they want to reduce the amount of, basically meaningless international football, which are, both of us, I think we're on board of completely getting rid of. Every 2 years, it's just, there's a beauty about a team being world champions for 4 years, and the fact that it only comes around once in a blue moon, and that fans, they pay a lot of money to go out there and follow their international teams, and it's an event that we look forward to. It just wouldn't be special if you were doing it every alternate year. And the domino effect that it has on the rest of football domestically, it is a killer. The demand of games, the fact that the sides are going to have to get together even more frequently. For me personally, I think they need to address the qualifiers first before they even think about major tournaments. I think the major tournaments work as they are, but the qualifiers, for me, I mean, even if they just reduce the amount of the group sizes so there's less fixtures, or, I was thinking at one point, why can't you just do it on ranking, like world rankings, and then just put those teams into the competitions, and you just go to the events and play, and you've had no qualifiers, no warm-ups, just see how it goes. I think there's something to be said for that. I know that Brazil and teams like Argentina will push this, because for those national players, they have a lot of pride, and there's a lot more importance of playing for country than there is club. But for the majority, it just doesn't have any, it just doesn't work at all.
Yeah, it's important to remember that obviously these proposals, if they were given the go-ahead, they would be looking at introducing it from 2028 onwards. So, I mean, it's not something that's likely to immediately happen. But, as you say, George, the calendar's already extremely congested with all the domestic leagues, particularly the main ones in Europe, the top clubs playing, domestic cups, Champions League, Europa League, etc. as well as all the qualifying matches. Then got a World Cup every 4 years currently, and a European Championships. Where are you fitting more qualification games in when you factor in, the Copa America, the African Cup of Nations, the CONCACAF trophy? I can't think of what it's called now, where you've got the likes of the Caribbean teams involved, and USA and Canada, etc. Where's all this going to be scheduled in? Who's thinking about the player welfare? We've seen, unfortunately, players collapsing on the pitch with health issues or kind of freak occurrences. We keep pushing these players to the limit like we are and beyond, then we're going to see more of these problems. I'm not sure why that's not being thought of and considered. There's no surprise that money is perhaps a driving issue behind this as well. FIFA's main source of income is the World Cup. They don't have other tournaments to fall back on like UEFA do, like with the Champions League, Europa League, and obviously new this season, the Conference League. So it's clear that they're trying to obviously get a bit more income into FIFA. But I mean, I just don't know how, I just can't see how viable this is. I think it's something that the feasibility of it should be explored. I think it's right that any idea that's brought to the table is looked at in a fair way. But ultimately, it's going to come down to the players and the coaching staff, the managers, whether they give this go ahead or not, because ultimately they're the ones that are playing it. And if they're not on board, then none of these things can happen in the first place. But yeah, I just don't know where we go with this. I mean, what do you think George Arsene Wenger's thinking behind this is? Because as I said at the top of the video, he's known football all his life. He's a very, very intelligent man. I mean, what do you think he's thinking?
I don't know what he's thinking half the time. He's a bit of a, you would think, being, you know, almost old school, that he would be like myself, a bit of a traditionalist, and likes the format that it is. So I honestly don't have a clue what his thinking process of. I mean, my only possible idea is that he's trying to find a job at international level so he can be a bit more involved. I really don't know whether he's got any hearsay from FIFA or he's working. I honestly have no idea, because it's just seems very odd to me that someone of his caliber and someone who likes the so-called, if you like, in asterisk, you know, the traditional side of football, why he would be so in favor of something that ultimately just doesn't need to be changed. I know we have to move on with the times, and we like you know, new things, and we want to try and initiate more of a different platform for things, because, you know, we need to modernize the game. It can't always be the same, but some things just don't need to be fixed. And I think, you know, where do you stop with it? If you're thinking about World Cup, well, then should the Olympics be every 2 years? You know, at what point do you say enough's enough?
Should we have like a Champions League final every month? You know,
it's
like what do we do? Yeah, I mean, where do you draw the line with these things? So, I mean, that's just myself and George's thoughts. Obviously, things will become a little bit clearer once further details are announced on Thursday with how this proposal might work. But yeah, guys, make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, what you think about this idea. As always, make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll catch you in the next one.